2007, a new IP came from Ubisoft that was called Assassin's Creed. Game was way ahead of its time. It had insane graphics, excellent gameplay, and amazing storytelling, and soon it became their flagship franchise and took Ubisoft to new heights. Then came in countless ups and downs in the franchise, but Ubisoft quickly managed to turn over the franchise to gain even wider audience, which clearly reflected in its gameplay. Assassin's Creed wasn't the same game anymore. Fans who grew up playing this franchise could not connect with it anymore. Assassin's Creed had become a completely different game from its past. Gone were the days of stealth and parkour in favor of button mashing and insane level system, which eventually made the fans to dislike the newer games, resulting in fan backlash, and framed it as the downfall of Assassin's Creed. But is it really a downfall? Then shouldn't it be dead by now? Well, it's true. The Assassin's Creed you and I knew died a long time ago, but the franchise didn't. So if it's dead, then how come it's a financial juggernaut today? And what are you even playing? First thing first, Assassin's Creed was always known for its parkour, refined with every installment, and finally peaked in Unity. Unity was the product of Ubisoft's experience over the years, and they perfected the parkour that no other game could replicate. The main protagonist, Arno, could climb walls, jump from building to building, or even climb up and down, all while maintaining the momentum and with utmost precision and style. But the RPG games have a different story. Ubisoft abandoned the parkour system altogether. Gone were the days of efficiently traversing the world, and in came the clunky and heavy movement system. But, as always, one thing just cannot ruin a game alone. It takes much more, and the next point is exactly that. Narrative or the story were always grounded in reality in older games, using sci-fi and grounded approach. There was no magic, there was no monsters. Just plain old simple grounded story within a time period which felt believable. But then RPG games came around, and it was completely opposite of what Assassin's Creed stood for. Magic, monster, all were in the game. The main story became mediocre at best, and suddenly the franchise started to feel different. These fantasy elements were never related with Assassin's Creed before, and which further made it harder for older fans to connect with the franchise, with which they grew up playing. But changing these were one thing, but removing that one key element for which these games were known for made a huge dent among their core fans. Older Assassin's Creed games were categorized as stealth games, where you are needed to follow a target to gain intel or gathering intel by listening to NPCs chatter. All these were part of the stealth functions in those games. In fact, those games had their own set of weapons which primarily focused on stealth and made players to go for stealth approach. And that weapon was called a hidden blade, which was placed on the wrist of the main character, a core gameplay feature and also the signature weapon of this franchise, which was used to assassinate the targets. But with newer RPG games, stealth isn't even a thing. The game now focuses more on the hack and slash combat and open world RPG mechanics with level system. Although stealth was an interesting gameplay loop in older titles, the newer ones opened its doors to wider audience. The RPG fans. These fans did not care about the stealth or even a hidden blade. They lived for RPG games and spends way more money than any other fan. People say Assassin's Creed is dying, but the truth is it's nowhere close to it. In fact, it's doing pretty well. Even after the fan backlash for Assassin's Creed Shadows and people claiming it to be dead on arrival, it went on to sell 5 million copies, surpassing Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. Even Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is usually known for its massive open world with endless grind, carried on to make $1 billion with its microtransaction and DLCs. Plus, it is also important to know that there is no other competition to Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft owns this monopoly. These games don't need to sell well, it just needs those whale players who regularly spends money on the game. In no way or form microtransaction is good in a single-player game, but as business point of view, it does make them money. And the truth is, these people are buying these things. The death here is not the actual death of this franchise, but it's just Ubisoft corporate struggles and their bad decisions. Assassin's Creed franchise that you and I knew is long gone. Ubisoft transformed the game into something it wasn't at the beginning, which resulted in catering this franchise to a much wider audience and in which they were successful. Everything about these games have been replaced part by part. Assassin's Creed has evolved from what it was in the past. So, in reality, Assassin's Creed is not dying. It has become a service, a juggernaut. That's too big to fail, and that's not dying.